Nigel, we reflect on last week, first another very narrow second losing bonus point. How frustrating was it?
I was hugely frustrated. A game that we were in control of, particularly in that second half period. We had plenty of opportunities. The last 5 minutes we had some great field position, 2 line-outs and a scrum in a very strong position for us to get something out of it. But we failed. So we can't keep on saying this. There's plenty of endeavour, there's plenty about us, but we probably lack a little bit of experience, or we lacked last week a little bit of experience and accuracy, and that cost us the match again. It was debatable whether Matthew's try was a try or not, which was disallowed. We had a kick just inside the 10-metre line in front of the post that we'd missed earlier in that second half, which had we got that over, it would have meant that we'd only needed a penalty to win the game, and we had 3 of those in their 22 within the last 5 minutes of the game. So, we're battling in games, but we've got to start coming through them. And as I said the week before last, we've got to start learning these hard lessons, because that makes the difference between a win and a loss.
You mentioned experience there. It's an inevitable question. Stephen Jones and Lamont weren't playing. Did they just need a break? Was that the?
Absolutely. Yeah. These guys have had a very, very busy Six Nations period. On top of, we look at Steve at the hard British line sort of start of the year, and these things accumulate. It does have a cumulative effect. We have to look after Steve anyway, in terms of his rehab and his prehab. And Steve has really appreciated, and Sean both of them really appreciated that break that they've had, and they've been back this week and they've been magnificent. They're really energised, they're really focused now, and they're going to play a big part in the run-in to the rest of the season. Because what you have to look at as well, it wasn't just the Edinburgh game in isolation, it's what comes next, and a massive game this weekend, another massive game the following weekend, and another massive game the weekend after that. So we have to make sure that our resources are managed properly, and certainly Sean and Steve are key to us in this running period.
4 games left in the Magnus League. 3 wins be enough, would you feel?
4 wins. 4 wins. 4 wins. I mean, this is a huge game this weekend. It's a big game for us, massive game for us, and we really need to pick up these points desperately. But equally, it's a huge game for the Ospreys. At this moment in time, they're 10 points ahead of us. But if we can get a result on Friday, they're in the mix with everybody else in terms of battling for European spots. So it's a massive game for them. It's a home game. They'll be favourites, particularly with the strength of their squad and the fact that it's a home game. So there'll be a lot of pressure on the game.
You don't think it's just a 2-horse race now, Nigel?
Well, I don't think so. I think if we can get something out of this match, then anything can happen. That's a big if. We've got a lot to do. But I've looked at the team that we've put out, which we're not going to announce yet, so don't ask. And I'm really comfortable with the fact that we're going to go there and we're going to give them a game.
Does the fact that they're targeting an European spot, does that make it harder, or in a way does the pressure there, and does it help your cause, the fact that there's so much at stake for them as well?
As I say, I think it's going to be a huge pressure on this game from both sides. You'd have to say that they'd be the favourites, and they've got the home fixture, so the pressure will be on them to get the result. But also there's pressure on us. So if ever you needed to add a little bit more spice to this derby, certainly you've got that.
Given what happened to the Rodney Parade, is that of any benefit to you, given the fact that the Giants beat them last week?
Probably not, no. It's probably didn't do us any good at all. But that's the fact is, there's a number of ways of looking at it. Even though we've lost our last 2 games, again, they've been encouraging performances, and the boys, they know that we can play to a level, and albeit by a couple of poor decisions and a couple of inaccuracies across these games, I felt as well that we lacked a bit of experience. We've got that experience back now, I believe, added to a lot of the youth that we've got, which makes for a good mix in our team. So I'm really comfortable with the fact that by bringing these experienced players in, it's really going to add value to what we are, which will make us far more competitive, and certainly, why not?
Inevitably, Nigel, people are going to look at the number 10 battle from teams in Canada, and see Dan who's Dan plays hard as it were. How would you see that?
I think there's battles right throughout this game. You can look at any position and say there's huge battles. There's a lot of our boys who were involved in the Six Nations campaign who will have a point to prove against a lot of the players who did play in that campaign. So I think it's right through. I think it's, Dan Biggins is a great player, but Steve has proven over time that he is a great player also. And that's very important. And Steve's not going to be looking at that at all. He's more experienced than that, and he's going to be just focused on giving us our game. And the individual battle really won't come into it.
Tough decision that's going to have, Nigel.
Yeah, very tough. But great, that's what we want. We want to have those tough decisions, because when you've got those tough decisions, it's when you start to realise that your squad is coming together. And we've got two great players in that position, and both offering something different.
What about the Ospreys then? I mean, this is probably what's your fifth game in this new sort of rivalry that's developed in the region at Liberty Stadium. How special is it, do you think, compared to the old sort of Langley Swansea games or those sort of ilks?
It's very, very similar, to what I can remember in the past. Very similar indeed. And the fact that you've got supporters who live so close to each other probably could go and work in the same environment. And no doubt we've got a couple of Osprey supporters in our region, and they've got a couple of Rose supporters in their region, so it just adds to the mix, and I think there's huge bragging rights to this match in its own right, without the intensity of the Magnus League, though, where nobody wants to finish it. The Fourth Welsh region, and ideally you want to finish in the top four, so it's certainly added value to the Magnus League.
Bragging rights in your household as well? Or?
That's right.
Bragging rights in your household as well?
Yeah, just a bit.
Injury-wise, Nigel and Reece and Ken picked up knocks in the weekend.
Yeah, they're both fine. They're both fine. Yeah, they're both fine to play.
Given the fact you've got 3 home games left, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You see, it doesn't ride on this result, is it? You've still got 3 matches back here.
I think it's a time really for us to remain composed and focused, and whatever the result on Friday, there's still everything to play for. I think the fact is, at this moment in time, however, we probably are in control of our destiny completely to a certain extent, and if we win the next 4 games, then we will finish. We won't be the 4th bottom team in the Welsh regions. So we are in control of our own destiny right now, and that's really big for us going into this match.